Remember that awesome M4 Mac Mini that got unveiled? Geez, it feels like it was over a year and a half ago now. Oh wait, it actually was. Back when we first saw that little aluminum puck hit the scene with a starting price of just $599, I think every single one of us had the exact same thought. What's the catch, yar? Those of us who remember the original Mac Mini launched back in 2005, the whole classic bring-your-own-display keyboard and mouse era knew from experience that Apple doesn't just hand out bargains out of the goodness of their hearts. But the M4 Mini was different. It was a genuine steal. Well, fast forward to today and Apple has decided that the party is officially over. The price is going up. But before we grab our pitchforks and march on Cupertino, let's take a breath, throw to Sabarcaro, and separate the real leaks from the noise. It's not entirely Apple's fault, and the situation is a bit more nuanced than a simple corporate cash grab. Even though the Mac Mini now technically starts at $799, a cool $200 jump that definitely stings the wallet, there are some legitimate supply chain level reasons for it. More importantly, looking at the broader roadmap, I think Apple's hardware chief, John Ternus, has a brilliantly calculated backup plan. Let's break down exactly what's happening behind the scenes. In Apple's defense, they aren't technically raising the price of the hardware across the board, they are just quietly taking the base model out back and ending its misery. If you were already planning to buy a 512GB configuration or higher, you aren't paying a single dime more today than you were last month. There is no actual price hike on those higher tiers. But it is undeniably frustrating that to merely step up to usable 512 gigs of storage, you are forced to hand over an extra $200. Apple's storage pricing ladder has always been a masterclass in psychological warfare, and this move is certainly no exception. The underlying reality is that the $599 base model M4 Mac Mini was just way too tempting for the enthusiast crowd. Apple probably forecasted it to be a modest seller for grandmas checking their email, but instead the tech-savvy crowd bought them up by the pallet. Everyone and their brother wanted to use them for HomeLab servers, local Claude bots, and dedicated AI processing nodes. And honestly, I can't blame them. Because you could just plug that little box into your existing monitors and keyboards, you suddenly had instant, affordable access to Apple's highly efficient neural cores and the bleeding edge of Apple silicon. For a while there, it was a Zabard-ass deal. It had John Ternus's signature hardware pragmatism written all over it, which is exactly why he was the one front and center to unveil it. What's truly fascinating is that even though it's been roughly 18 months since the M4 Mac Mini first went on sale, the demand has barely cooled off. People are still hunting for these things, but if we look closely at the supply chain rumors, there is plenty of reason to suspect an ulterior motive for killing the $599 model. We already know the M5 family of chips has been unveiled and is actively rolling out. According to reliable sources in the manufacturing sector, Apple might simply be using this strategic price adjustment to clear out the remaining inventory of M4 chips before entirely switching production lines over to the M5 Mac Mini. That upcoming M5 model will likely look and feel bilkul identical to the current generation, just with the expected bump in single-core performance and slightly better thermal efficiency. However, I think there is a much larger, more interesting opportunity here, one that Ternus and his team are likely already prototyping in a lab somewhere in California. Apple has made it abundantly clear recently that they were completely blown away, and perhaps even a little caught off guard by the runaway success of the MacBook Neo. If you've been following the enterprise and education markets closely, you've seen the massive shift. Entire school districts are publicly announcing that they are ditching their fleets of aging Chromebooks and clunky Windows machines to standardize entirely on the MacBook Neo. Why? Because the value proposition is just undeniably good. What the MacBook Neo proved to Apple and to the rest of the industry is that you can deliver a high-quality, reliable computing experience at an incredibly low price point if you're smart about leveraging economies of scale. By utilizing the same fundamental silicon architectures that go into the hundreds of millions of iPhones they sell every year, Apple found a way to subsidize the development costs of their entry-level Macs. It's a brilliant, highly effective strategy. So applying that exact logic to the desktop space makes more and more sense, especially now that the standard Mac Mini has vacated the sub-market. I can easily foresee a near future, maybe not this holiday season, but certainly within the next hardware cycle where the Mac Mini is officially repositioned. Think about how the MacBook Air used to be the absolute floor of the laptop lineup, but now sits a tier above the true entry level. The Mac Mini is poised to do the exact same thing. This opens the door perfectly for a brand new product category, Ek Naya Rasta for Apple. Let's call it the Mac Nano or the desktop Mac Neo. This would be a device specifically designed to hit an ultra-aggressive price point. I'm talking $399. It would be built for the massive demographic of users who simply do not need the crazy, borderline overkill performance of the standard M-series chips. For school districts building computer labs, for front desk receptionists, or for anyone who just wants a snappy, responsive machine for web browsing and light document editing, an M4 or M5 is like using a Ferrari to go pick up groceries. If Apple can sell iPhones by the hundreds of millions, utilizing mature, highly optimized components, they can easily take a binned version of an iPhone chip, stick it in a small box, and sell it for a massive profit even at $399. Sure, there will be compromises compared to a proper Mac Mini, but for a huge chunk of the market, those compromises won't matter in the slightest. This is especially true if Apple wants to maintain their aggressive push to win back the education sector. Not every classroom needs portable laptops with built-in screens and degrading batteries to manage. Sahai bot hi, there is still a massive demand for stationary desktop terminals, machines so small and cheap you could just slap some industrial Velcro on them and stick them to the back of a basic external monitor. Now I know what some of you veterans are thinking. You're sitting there saying, hold on a second, the Mac Mini is already a stripped-down metal box. You can't use the same cost-cutting tricks on a desktop that you used on the MacBook Neo. You can't put in a cheaper display, downgrade the speakers, or remove the keyboard backlight because a desktop doesn't have any of those things to begin with. And you'd be absolutely right. But if we dig into the engineering, there are still several very realistic, highly effective ways Apple could strip down a theoretical Mac Nano to hit that magical $399 price tag. You might not love all of these compromises, but let's look at the reality of budget hardware manufacturing. First and foremost, kill the Thunderbolt ports. Having high-speed Thunderbolt on every port requires dedicated, expensive PCIe controllers. Apple already stripped these out of the MacBook Neo to allow the use of modified, lower-cost A-series silicon, and they can absolutely do it here. For the target demographic, losing 40 gigabit data transfer speeds is a perfectly acceptable trade-off. In fact, to save on motherboard complexity, Apple might not even include rear-facing USB-C ports at all. Imagine a design where you just have two standard USB-C ports right on the front of the device, one running at standard USB 3 speeds and maybe one relegated to USB 2 for basic peripherals like a mouse. Remember, this isn't meant to be a powerhouse 4K video editing rig. This is essentially a Safari machine. It's built for light media playback, running web apps, and everyday computing. You don't need expensive Thunderbolt controllers for that. Second, let's talk about power delivery. Apple loves to engineer incredibly dense, custom internal power supplies for the Mac Mini. It's a beautiful feat of engineering, but it costs money and takes up internal volume. Do you remember when Apple transitioned from the original massive HomePod down to the HomePod Mini? To save on space and component costs, they ripped the power supply out of the speaker entirely. They just moved it outside the device, relying on a standard USB-C charging brick that plugged directly into the wall. Apple already manufactures millions of these power bricks for iPads and MacBooks. They buy the components in staggering bulk. For a Mac Nano, they could just toss a standard 30-watt or 35-watt adapter into the box. Instead of a complex, dedicated AC power connector on the back of the Mac, you just have a simple, dedicated USB-C power input. It doesn't even need to handle data, just basic power delivery. By moving the power supply externally, you drastically shrink the overall footprint of the logic board. You use less material, and crucially MATLAB, you generate far less internal heat. This brings us to the third compromise, removing the active cooling entirely. If you have an external power brick and a highly efficient low-power chip, you simply do not need a spinning fan. We already know Apple can passively cool the MacBook Air and the MacBook Neo without breaking a sweat. A desktop box with a bit of internal aluminum heatsink would be completely silent, practically indestructible, and perfectly fine for everyday tasks. Actually, the more I describe this theoretical device, the more it sounds like an Apple TV on steroids. And that brings me to the final cost-saving measure, the build materials. This machine doesn't need to be meticulously machined out of a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum. It's a budget box that will likely sit permanently behind a monitor or gather dust under a desk. People aren't going to be picking it up and admiring its chamfered edges all day. Apple could absolutely switch to using high-quality, recycled polycarbonate plastic. They already use recycled plastics extensively in their AirPods lineup. A plastic enclosure would drastically cut down on CNC machining time and material costs, making it a true piece of Vasul device. Combine a durable plastic chassis, an external power brick, no fan, and standard USB ports, and suddenly we are very realistically talking about a sub-$400 Mac. And the crazy part, thanks to the sheer efficiency of Apple Silicon, that little plastic box would still absolutely smoke the vast majority of cheap, laggy Windows PCs sitting in that exact same bargain bin price bracket. But I want to know where you guys stand on this. Do you think the Mac Mini should hold the line and remain the true entry-level desktop, or is the market genuinely ready for a stripped-down plastic Mac Nano? At what price point does a compromised desktop actually make sense for your specific workflow, your family, or your business? Let's get a real discussion going. Share Karen down in the comments below. As always, a huge thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It genuinely helps us keep the lights on and the research deep, as does just taking the time out of your day to watch these videos. So thanks again for being here. This is your AI Shape, and I will see you all on the next one.